First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Good evening. This is First at 5 from WUFT News. I'm Jacob Sidesi.
And I'm Natasha Holt. Thanks for joining us.
It's been a little over a week since Hurricane Idalia hit Florida, and several people across the state are still recovering. First responders were on the front lines helping people get back to normal as a part of Florida USAR Task Force 8.
WUFT's Francis Capper takes a look at how Gainesville's fire department took on the aftermath of Category 3 hurricane.
In the face of Idalia, Gainesville was fortunate, avoiding a lot of the damage. But areas to the north were hit hard, which is why the Gainesville Fire Department sent members of their technical rescue team to assist. Fire Chief Joe Dixon believes the state of Florida has a firm understanding of how dangerous these storms can be.
This is not something where there's complacency, and we believe that the citizens of the state and those that live here and visit understand the importance of being prepared.
After the storm, the city moved quickly to clear the minimal damage. Cleanup efforts began immediately and went smoothly. Chief Dixon said that he even had to cut down a tree himself. The city of Gainesville was not strongly impacted by Hurricane Idalia, although our first responders remained diligent in assisting our neighbors to the north who were more strongly impacted by the storm. Fire Chief Joe Dixon also informed me that we can be expecting a hurricane season this year that is more active than normal, and that citizens should prepare accordingly. Francis Capper, WUFT News.
Well, class was back in session in Suwannee County today, more than a week after Idalia tore through the area. This comes as school districts have already alerted parents of hurricane makeup days. Marion County school leaders announced students will not have to make up the hurricane days due to the amount of time they're in class. In Alachua County, makeup days are scheduled for December 21st and December 22nd. Those days were already built into the school calendar to be used as flex days. In the harder hit areas of Levy and Suwannee counties, school leaders say they're focused on recovery but are looking into possible modifications to the school calendar and will inform parents in a few weeks.
In Taylor County, jury duty for tomorrow has been canceled in the aftermath of Hurricane Idalia. The county posted the alert on their Facebook page saying if you've been summoned to appear on September 8th, don't show up to the courthouse. They will reschedule your jury duty for a later date.
Well, you might not know, insects are feeling the effects of the hurricane too, in particular honeybees. WUFT's Charlize Ramos went to the University of Florida Honeybee Research Lab to speak with experts about how the bee industry is recovering after the storm.
The buzzing of bees is a pleasing sound to research technician Devin Ron. He has been with the UF Honeybee Research Lab since November, and in that time he has seen 2 hurricanes threaten the insect's sweet melodies. While things are calm right now, the researchers are no strangers to taking extra precautions before large storms.
Anytime a storm is coming, we have to leave our bees outside. There's really no way to bring them inside. So what we do is we push colonies together and we strap around the colony so that the wind has a more difficult time blowing things over. Ultimately, when strong winds and strong hurricanes come through, there's essentially nothing that you can do.
Hurricane Idalia missed Gainesville, but in hurricanes past, the storms are known to kill millions of bees. Hurricanes not only damage the hives, the bees can also be left without resources for months after the storm.
A week after Hurricane Idalia, the weather is back to sunny, hot days, meaning most trained beekeepers ditch the suit I'm wearing now. But as we've learned today, the weather can be the least of beekeepers' worries.
A lot of research done here is about what bees face on a daily basis.
I'm working some colonies for research projects that we have going on. Specifically, we manage mites in some unique ways. Varroa mites are the #1 parasite that our honeybees deal with.
Despite dangers big and small, these bees keep doing what they do best, make honey. Charlize Ramos, WUFT News.
Well, in addition to hurricanes and various types of mites, bees face other challenges, including different viruses, fungal disease, agricultural pesticides, and a lack of forage.
Some Florida home builders fear a shortage of construction workers due to a new state immigration law. Disaster response worker advocacy group Resilience Force found more than half its members in Florida won't work. The organization's director says many fear they'll be incarcerated or deported because they're undocumented. Many of its members say they won't help the hurricane recovery efforts because of the law. For continuing coverage on the recovery efforts from Hurricane Idalia, please head to our website, wuft.org.
Well, a new study by the Wall Street Journal declared UF the #1 public university in the nation. I asked students if this passes the smell test, and a data journalism expert told me what went right and wrong. Take a look.
It was quite surprising at first. I wasn't truly expecting it.
Seemingly out of nowhere, the so-called Top 5 university had a new trophy in its case, a #1 ranking in a study from the Wall Street Journal. But some students say that doesn't match sentiments on campus.
There has been a lot of educational restriction in the state of Florida as of late, and so I would think that would make us a bit lower in ranks.
Researchers behind the study put the bulk of the weight on student economic outcomes, with learning environments and diversity also playing a minor role. Interim Provost Scott Engel attributes the university's performance in the study to the value of the outcomes compared to tuition costs.
So when you look at the mixture of tuition, which can be reflected by debt, and the outcome following graduation, we've got to be one of the very best values in the country.
UF Data Journalism Associate Professor Norm Lewis thinks even though the researchers did some things right, there are always some shortcomings.
When we look at college rankings based on the economic output of the graduates, we may not be measuring their intangible contributions to the betterment of society or their ability to think critically or to participate in public and civic life.
Despite all this, other students are taking this placement with pride.
Student culture, student outcomes, even the learning environment, it's quite top-notch.
Now, Lewis did applaud surveyors for asking students their thoughts, but pointed out that surveys may not always be representative of the population. But amidst this praise, officials with Florida Public Universities will likely be adding one more standardized test to be used as an entrance exam. The Classic Learning Test is an alternative to the SAT and ACT. It is currently used by 9 small colleges in Florida, including Stetson, Palm Beach Atlantic, Southeastern, St. Leo, and Ave Maria University. The test contains sections assessing verbal reasoning, grammar, and quantitative reasoning. A Florida mom is spreading awareness on the dangers of toy chess after losing her 4-year-old twins last month. According to the twins' mother, Sadie Myers, the boys woke up in the middle of the night to play in their room. Myers said they were found unresponsive inside their toy chest in the morning. The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office officials said the children did not show any signs of trauma and everyone in the home was interviewed. No charges have been filed.
Coast Guard officials have suspended the search of a passenger who disappeared from a cruise ship in Miami. Family and friends say they won't rest until they bring their brother home. 26-year-old Kevin McGrath, a father of 2, has been missing since Monday. He was celebrating his dad's birthday on a Carnival cruise ship. He was last seen in his cabin at around 7 a.m. when the family gathered for breakfast, but Kevin never showed up. His sister is encouraging other passengers who may have seen him that morning to speak up.
Someone knows something, someone's seen something. I just want my brother home. My family wants my brother home. Just please, we need him home.
Family members say Kevin was last seen wearing a black t-shirt, black shorts, and gray sneakers. If you have any information, you should call Miami-Dade Police Department.
Well, an actor from an iconic TV show could be headed to prison for more than 30 years.
Plus, COVID-19 cases are on the rise. The latest vaccine could be approved as early as next week. We'll be right back.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
A former television star is headed to prison. Danny Masterson of That 70s Show was sentenced to 30 years to life for the sexual assault of 2 women 2 decades ago. The women whose testimony led to Masterson's conviction said that in 2003 he gave them drinks and that they became woozy or passed out before he attacked them. Masterson's first trial was declared a mistrial as jurors could not agree on a verdict.
Well, FDA officials could approve the latest COVID-19 vaccine as early as next week.
This comes as health leaders say cases are starting to rise again. John Lawrence has the details.
The coronavirus pandemic is over, but the battle against the bug isn't complete.
Look, COVID is here with us. We are going to have to continue to live with it.
COVID-related hospitalizations and deaths have been on the rise over the past few months, according to Dr. Mandy Cohen, the new director of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
So that's the first step of, well, make sure your immune system is as strong as it possibly can be.
CDC officials are advising people to stay up to date with COVID vaccines, to improve indoor ventilation, to get tested when appropriate, and to stay home while sick.
As long as we use these layers of tools, I think we are in a better position than we have been before.
The elderly and people with compromised health may want to consider wearing a mask while in public.
I'm not talking about mandating anything. I'm talking about good common sense and following the recommendations that we likely will get from the CDC as we proceed into the fall and if the cases increase in their number.
The CDC is also encouraging the country to get flu shots this fall. Its new ad campaign says a flu vaccine can turn the virus from, quote, wild to mild. I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Now, Moderna says its updated COVID vaccine appears to have a strong response against that new COVID variant that's been spreading around the past few weeks.
President Joe Biden is facing an uphill battle as 2024 presidential election heats up. According to his new CNN poll, his overall job approval rating is at 39%. In general, 58% say they have an unfavorable impression of him. When it comes to Biden's age, roughly 3/4 of Americans are concerned about his physical and mental competence and his ability to serve another full term. Meanwhile, 61% of Americans believe Biden was involved in his son Hunter Biden's business dealings. According to the poll, 42% think he acted illegally, with 18% saying his actions were unethical. Just 1% believe Biden was involved but did nothing wrong. Joe Biden has denied any involvement in Hunter Biden's business dealings.
And the president will travel to India to meet with leaders of the world's largest economies. The G20 represents 2/3 of the world's population. Biden nearly missed attending the event after First Lady Jill Biden tested positive for COVID-19. Two leaders, including Russian President Vladimir Putin and Chinese President Xi Jinping, will not be in attendance. President Biden will continue his travels through Hanoi, Vietnam on Sunday before traveling to Alaska to observe the anniversary of 9/11.
Coming up on WUFT First at 5, storms are in the forecast and the start of your weekend.
And more hurricanes are predicted for the rest of the season. We'll give you those numbers after the break.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
There's less than 3 months left in the 2023 Atlantic hurricane season. The season has been ahead of historical average, and forecasters say they now expect more major hurricanes to develop than predicted in earlier forecasts. Here's what AccuWeather is now predicting for the season. 13 to 17 named storms, 4 to 8 hurricanes, 2 to 4 direct impacts for the U.S., and 3 to 5 major hurricanes. A major hurricane is one that is a Category 3 or higher. AccuWeather is also predicting Hurricane Lee will become the season's first Category 5 hurricane.
So now let's take a look at where this Hurricane Lee is right now. It's still far out, several hundred miles east of Barbados, but there's concern it will become a major hurricane, perhaps reaching Category 5. Computer models show it turning north while out to sea, but rip currents and rough surf will be possible along Atlantic beaches next week. We're also tracking a tropical storm even further out, but Margot is not expected to threaten North America. Meanwhile, here in the Gainesville area, we're expecting the hot weather to remain with a good chance of rain tomorrow and on game day. That could take the form of late afternoon and evening scattered storms. So we'll have to watch the radar for the scheduled 7:30 kickoff at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium.
The weather has been hot, but Florida volleyball has been even hotter.
Right, speaking of sports, it's probably the hottest team in the country right now, but that's what happens when you beat 3 top 10 teams in the country. And they'll look to keep that perfect record going as they host Sacramento State tonight as they host their first match of the Gators Invitational. WUFT's Jack Alperstein has that preview and much more in sports after the break.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
Welcome to sports. I'm Jack Alperstein. We kick off today with soccer as the Gators began play on the road against Charlotte at 5 p.m. Florida's unbeaten through 5 games this season, winning 3 and drawing 2. The score is currently 0-0, approaching 28 minutes left in the half. Stepping away from the pitch and onto the volleyball court, the scorching hot Gators play at home tonight against Sacramento State in the Gators Invitational. Third-ranked Florida has taken down 3 ranked teams on its way to a 4-0 start. Following back-to-back sweeps of second-ranked Stanford and fifth-ranked Minnesota, the Gators will look to continue their dominant play against the 5-2 Hornets. Tonight's matchup begins at 7 p.m., marking the first of 3 in the Invitational. Florida matches up with Clemson tomorrow and Winthrop on Saturday. The Gators may be in action tonight, but it was the high schoolers who took the court last night as Newberry High School hosted undefeated Brantford. Newberry came out the gates competitive behind efforts from outside hitters Chloe Jones and Haley Thorpe. However, it was not enough as Brantford pulled away to take the first set by a score of 25-17. Brantford's dominance continued into the second and third sets as they completed the sweep of Newberry. Kennedy Walker and Madison Ward led the way with 22 combined kills. With its sweep of the Panthers, the Buccaneers remain undefeated on the season at 7-0. Eastside High also took the court last night against Interlochen in a battle of the Rams. With Interlochen taking the first match in 4 sets, they too stay perfect at 3-0. Week 1 was one to forget for the Gators football program. The Gators fell to the then 14th ranked Utah Utes 24-11 in Salt Lake City. Florida's offense struggled to get going under new quarterback Graham Mertz and were held scoreless in the second and third quarters. Despite the loss, Gators tight end Jonathan Odom took a personal win, stepping onto the field for the first time since sustaining a knee injury in last year's Las Vegas Bowl.
It was just tough in all aspects, especially, God bless if it had to happen at some point. It happened, very end of the season, so it gave me, light at the end of the tunnel, like, hey, there's opportunity for me if I work hard enough to be able to work hard enough where I can get back for the first game.
Odom and the Gators will look to bounce back in the swamp this weekend against McNeese State. Hopefully you've drafted and set your fantasy lineups because the NFL is finally back. That's right, preseason is over and this one counts as the Kansas City Chiefs host the Detroit Lions in Arrowhead. Following its win over the Philadelphia Eagles in Super Bowl 57, quarterback Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs begin their title defense at home, perhaps undermanned. Kansas City tight end Travis Kelce is listed as questionable to suit up tonight due to a hyperextended knee. The Lions enter Arrowhead following a 9-8 season in 2022. You can see former Gators Kadarius Toney and Alex Anzalone take the field tonight. Kickoff is set for 8:20 p.m. That's it for sports. I'm Jack Alperstein.
Well, Jack, hamsters aren't known for their swimming ability. Tell that to this Florida man. The U.S. Coast Guard found Reza Baluchi about 70 miles off Tybee Island, Georgia, in a homemade human-powered, get this, hamster wheel. Law enforcement officials say he's tried 3 similar voyages before, including off Flagler County in 2014. He refused to leave the vessel for 3 days and claimed he had a bomb on board. Investigators later discovered the bomb was fake. I don't know how that works, but we'll see. We've got our 6-day outlook here coming up on the end of the newscast. Tomorrow we're going to be seeing 91 degrees for the high, 71 for the low. On game day we're looking at 90 degrees with 69 for the low. Chance of showers for the next 4 days. And I think that'll do it for us on First at 5. BBC World News is up next and the PBS NewsHour is coming up at 7. Have a good night.